and he brings a storm in their life. Oh, you didn't know that, huh? Okay. Don't you know when he sent them on this way, he knew what was going to take place?
Yes.
Don't you know that's why he delayed his time? Yes. I need some time for myself.
Yes.
See, Pastor, sometimes you're going to need some time for yourself.
Yes.
And he took some time for himself, and he sent his disciples. He knew what was going to confront them. Yes. Because he knew what he had sent them to. Right. And in the process of all of that, he decided when they had about enough. See, let me tell you something. There's a scripture say that he won't allow you. See, you got to understand, God is in control. Yes. See, many of us don't understand sovereignty. See, God is sovereign. That means that he has control of everything, all things. There's nothing that he doesn't have control of. See, because the steps of a good man is ordered by God. See, you got to understand, either you are in his or you're not. Yes. You got to understand who your God is. Yes. And you got to understand what your destination is. Yes. I know he's going to conform me. Once I'm saying, when he tried me, I shall conform. Let's still go. Yes. See, in your difficultness, you find that who Jesus is. Yes. Amen. One writer said, I will never knew that God could solve my problems if I never went through something. Yes. See, this ain't just a skipping and a hopping and enjoying yourself. Yes. It's a time of development. It's a time of growth. I'm pretty sure in these 20 years, he did some growing. Yes. Do you hear what I'm saying? Yes. I'm pretty sure in them 20 years, you ain't learned something. You know, you don't hang around here for 20 years to be stupid. Yes. You know? Yes. In this you learn to have patience. Yes. You learn how to be obedient. You will learn how to follow leadership. Yes. Are you with me? Yes. You'll learn how to forgive. Yes. You'll learn how to forgive. Yes. You'll learn how to love those that despitefully use you. You'll even learn how to hug folks you know that's going to stab you in your back while you hug. Yes. See, we got to understand. We got to understand without a shadow of a doubt that God is in control of all things. Yes. And when he sent him along his way, then he decided, when he knew it was just good time, oh yes, it was good time, he went to meet him. And as he was walking there, they seen him. Yes. They got afraid. Are you with me? Now I want to say something. See, the 11 of them didn't experience what Peter experienced. Peter, now I'm going to say this to you. Jesus is in the eye of the storm. Yes. Yes, he is. Did y'all hear me? Yes. If you're having some difficulties in your life, don't run away from it. Run to it. Yes. Did you hear what I just said? I know that's a little difficult for you because you're kind of trying to figure that out. See, because whether you want to believe it or not, Jesus was in the middle of the storm. Yes. He was in the eye of the storm. And he said, Peter said, if that be you, bid me to come. Yeah. Jesus said, come. Now watch this. He got out of the boat and he began to walk. But in his walking, now let me say this to you about power. I had to learn this. That I have been infused by power. And the word power has a two-pronged definition. It says, one says, I have the ability to. And the other one says, and I have the ability to exercise, and the other one says that I have the authority. Oh, y'all got me? See, I had to find out just because of the Holy Ghost in me, I just can't run and do what I want to do. I found out, even though I might feel all good and feel it going all over my body, I still need the authority to exercise that power. Yes. Now let me ask you, have you ever had time when it really was going good for you? It was really going good and then you tried it again and then you find out it just wasn't clicking? Yes. Are you with me? Yes. But see, you didn't have no authority. Yeah. You had the power, but you didn't have the authority. Yeah. See, God gave Jesus gave Peter the power to walk on that water. Yes. And I don't know how he did it, but I got to imagine something happened to that water. You hear me? Whether it was a plank, invisible plank, put on that water, the Bible said he walked on the water. That means his feet touched the water. And in the process of that, he did just like we all do. We get caught up in ourselves. We get caught been so good to us, we just go beyond what the Holy Ghost wanted to do. I know that's a little different. The Holy Ghost tell you to stop and you got to go on some other. Because you were rocking and you were rolling and you were wheeling and you did. You're feeling good about yourself. See, Peter got to walking on that water, see? And then Peter lost focus of who has authority.
Yes.
Do you hear what I'm saying?
Yes.
He began to look at the wind. He began to look at the waves. And next day he found out, he began to sink. Yeah. See, many times we get caught up. We get caught up in our popularity. Yeah. We get caught up in people patting us on our back. Yeah. We get caught up in people saying, you brought a good message. Yeah. We get caught up in ourselves, and then the next day we know we don't have no more authority. Yeah. We break off and run like the prophet did one time. Yeah. But then he found out that he couldn't run like he ran before. Yeah. See, you got to realize when he said, come, I want you to come, Peter. Yes. And when he tells you to move, I want you to move, but I don't want you to forget who have given you the authority, where your source of life, and power come from. Never forget who your source of power comes from. And then Peter began to sing. Are you hearing me? But then he came to himself. Did y'all hear what I'm saying? See, let me tell you something. Many times you can get out there, but sooner or later you come to yourself. Are you with me? Yeah. He began to realize that it wasn't me that was walking on this water. It wasn't me that built this ministry. It wasn't me that it wasn't my hands that brought about that healing. It wasn't my word that brought about that deliverance. Oh, listen to me. But then he began to understand that it's Jesus. He's the one who given me the authority. So what did he do? He began to call out to Jesus. He began to call out to him. Oh, no. You the old saints, you said, call him like you mean it. Oh, yes. Oh, he meant it. And it's a matter of life and death. I don't know what was so different about it, because you got to understand, he was a fisherman. That ain't the first time he'd been in water. But it must have been an unusual situation. It was so unusual that the other 11 stayed in the boat. The other 11 was afraid to come out. But then when he called upon Jesus, and Jesus lifted him up, now pay attention to this. Peter got back focused. And when Peter got back focused, him and Jesus walked back to the boat. Did you hear what I'm saying? I'm here to let you know this morning, today, when you're going through something, when you're experiencing something difficult in your life, don't forget to call upon Jesus. And if you call upon Jesus, you can walk with Jesus. See, the rest of them didn't experience that. No other man experienced that type of power. That defile nature. That kind of power. Think about it now. That kind of power. That a man is able to walk upon water. That kind of power to be that so close to Jesus. To experience all that he was. To experience all that what he could accomplish. Nobody else experienced that type of power. That kind of power that healed the sick. That kind of power that raised the dead. That kind of power that talked to the blind eye. See, Peter, because of his boldness to step out in faith, because of his boldness to do or try to do the impossible, because Jesus was there wherever Jesus said. Wherever Jesus said, you also can be. I'm here to let you know, brother, walk by faith. Don't be afraid to do anything. Don't be denied nothing. Fight on, saints. Fight on. Fight on, preacher. Don't give up. Don't get discouraged. Don't worry about people. I'm here to let you know that Peter had to leave the other 11. Did you hear